So we're going down into the questions. Now, the question is, ask Fenn, would anybody know if they found the treasure spot that it was special, like you know it's special? And he goes, maybe. He says, I don't know how to answer your question. People are so different. A writer from Manhattan came to see me. It was her first time out of the city. When I asked how she liked New Mexico, she said there's a sky. And she wasn't kidding. At home, she never thought to look up. She was thrilled when I showed her a cow. I never forgot that Star Trek. Remember where these people, they come down on this planet and all these people, I don't even remember the circumstances of this planet, but all the people are kind of contained. And this one guy, he goes up and he actually gets to the top of this mountain that he wasn't supposed to be in because it was like forbidden land. And he goes up and I think it's called I Touched the Sky, and he went up and he touched the ceiling of this thing and they thought they were like in this big open place, and he says, I touched the sky. I always thought that was cool. I always remember that. Okay, so someone has said, Fenn, would everybody know it's... I'm repeating myself again. I tend to do that. He says, I'm not sure they would know it's special. Maybe everyone's different. Okay, so on August 19th, now this would be the same day. Someone said, BW, the guy who asked the question of Fenn, says, Jeremy, I know I don't do a very good job of wording my questions. I know it will be special for the person that finds the gold, but will we recognize it for... I know it will be special for the person that finds the gold, but will we recognize it for it means to Forrest Fenn? According to his answer, he doesn't know. Yes, we are all different. Thank goodness. I see your happy face. I know you are joking. Jeremy says, I was indeed joking. It's a very good question. I'm hoping we learn what makes the place special to Forrest someday as well. Jeremy's quite elegant. Now, that was at 12:38. Jeremy responded to BW. So 2 hours later, he's responding to BW. The next day, August 20th, at 10:12 a.m., we get a response from Crow. Crow is now commenting on the initial question. Would you know if it was special, or is that kind of something only Fenn would think it was special? This Crow, a day later, in the comments section says, BW, I think it would take time for full understanding of the specialness of the spot. Now understand, this account is from a person named Crow. Different person. Not speaking as Forrest Fenn. But listen to the answer. Speaking to BW, I think it would take full time for full understanding of the specialness of the spot. Even when I had been around many trees and forest and pets and cows, I find that being closer to it all is in a way invading their space. With each chapter in life comes a different view and appreciation of the world around us. I love horses and would want to be close to them. Cows, I would have the writer's response, I guess. They were always nice to see down the country road, but I don't feel comfortable with them crossing my front lawn. I think if the poem is figured out, that the person will eventually understand the specialness of the spot. I don't know about you, but I think this guy's very, very presumptive. I think he's very, or maybe the word is assumptive. I mean, he's acting to me like he really knows what's going on with this. I think if the poem is figured out, that the person will eventually understand the specialness of the spot. To figure out the poem requires a deep understanding of the architect. He's referring to Fenn, but he could be easily referring to Fenn as a third-person person, since he's not Fenn in this context. And that would eventually lead to an understanding of the spot. My spot is now special to me for a number of reasons, including the seasons, and of course because the gold is there. When he says my spot, is this guy Crow saying that he has a spot figured out? Because he sounds very familiar with his special spot. And of course, what I've noticed all the searchers do just about this time in conversations, when you've got someone talking about their spot or their solve, or they know it's here, there, and everywhere, everyone all says the same thing. Why don't you go get it? But that's never addressed. You just have this guy with this very self-important talk like he's Forrest Fenn, for want of a better way of putting it. That's how it struck me, and that's why my last videos I referred to this as a post by Forrest Fenn. Remember, this is a full day later that this guy Crow chimes in. Forrest Fenn could easily have logged in on a separate account and under Crow and read through comments and just thought, well, I'm going to put in my 2 cents of what's going on for these retards. Don't you think seriously that Fenn sometimes reads comments and reads people, watches, well, I'm not saying he watched my video, but watches some of the videos and just looks at someone and goes, you're a friggin' idiot. You are so off the mark. Well, he has to, because no one's found the chest. God, if I were him, I would just be like, man, how many retards? Is there ever going to be an intelligent person that figures this out? All right. Very interesting. So again, Crow is in the second time that he posts. Crow is also in the same session. He is a day later from the initial questions. The initial question and answer was August 19th. And here's another person on August 19th commenting. And then we'll see this Crow come in a day later, almost 24 hours later, and give his comment. Buckeye Bob says, remember, is the place special to the searcher? I almost said Crow. Is the place special to the searcher? Only to Fenn? Or both people? Fenn says, I don't really know. It's kind of up to the searcher. I don't know. I know what I think's special. How would I know? Especially when you got people walking around that haven't seen a sky before, seen a cow before. When you're dealing with people who've never seen a cow or a sky, who knows? Those searchers are a pretty weird group of people. They really need to get out more. Buckeye Bob says on August 19th, again, I believe that the special place is just the great outdoors. That doesn't mean that the exact spot the treasure is located in is not within close proximity to a specific spot that Forrest considers special. Buckeye Bob says, again, I believe that the special place is just the great outdoors. That doesn't mean that the exact spot the treasure is located in is not within close proximity to a specific spot that Forrest considers special. Let's take a secret fishing hole or Indian ruin as examples, as these are both mentioned as treasures in the Jennifer London video. A secret fishing spot, as we know from TTOTC, can be a good spot, but these spots can become special and or secret spots to a new generation of fly fishermen. So placing it there where someone could stumble upon it is unlikely. That's actually a pretty good point. Except for the fact we know that Forrest has commented that I don't think, okay, I'm getting off track, but I don't think the treasure chest is that far from people. You guys all know what I'm talking about. And he talks about a 3-year-old can find it. And then later on he kind of backed up and said, well, I shouldn't say a 3-year-old can go anywhere, but you know, with a little help, maybe the 3-year-old could stumble across it. It gives me the feeling maybe it's close to a campground, something. I don't think it's out in the boonies. Well, we know it's not out in the boonies because Fenn has said that a million times. It's not going to be it's not some great wilderness hike. I don't want to get into all that. But I do like the point he makes. It's not going to be sitting right next to the creek in some major fishing hole that when Fenn was a kid, nobody else knew about, but now it's overrun with fishermen. That's a very good point, and that's why I like reading blogs and vlogs, even though some of the experts, the Forrest Fenn experts, say that it's not a good thing to do. It'll jumble your mind up. My mind needs no help. It's jumbled beyond repair. So placing it there where someone could stumble upon it is unlikely. An Indian ruin, whether it has or has not been discovered as of yet, could place the chest in jeopardy of falling into the hands of a government agency or the likes of Mr. Maldonado. Who the hell is Mr. Maldonado? I don't know. Therefore, logic leads me to believe that while there are many places we may consider to be special to Forrest, Forrest tried to think of everything, and it is highly unlikely that he placed it in a position that would jeopardize the finder from keeping it. A day later, mysterious Mr. Crow pops in, flies in again. Buckeye. I doubt there would be a legal challenge wherever it is. Again, this authoritative kind of, I'm in the know, I know what's going on. It just doesn't speak to me like some regular searcher who's out there kind of going, well, I have an idea over here. This guy is like, I'm telling you what's happening. Buckeye. I doubt that there would be a legal challenge wherever it is, as long as the poem is not messed with. Mess with the poem at one's own peril. The poem does not require any laws to be violated. If a solve involves any violations of person, place, property, it is most likely incorrect. I also doubt that there is any legal challenge regarding the gold itself, as long as the poem is not messed with. I think that, quote, don't mess with the poem, unquote, is not just a clue, but is more importantly a warning. Follow the poem, and there should be no legal or tax problems. Who the hell is this guy? Is he like the authority figure on Forrest Fenn? Is he like crawled into Forrest's brain and just knows what Forrest thinks? Because he sure as hell sounds like it to me. Unless it's Forrest Fenn himself. You might be saying again, I don't know if I said this earlier, I had a phone call that threw me off. I had 2 phone calls, really threw me off. Forrest Fenn can certainly go in and look at blogs. He can read all the blogs and blogs all day he wants. I think there's a part of him, as there would be a part of me, that would like to go in and just add a few words here and there, add a little sauce to the meal, add a little sauce, add a little flavoring, give a little bit more knowledge. I agree. We don't know that it's Forrest Fenn, so we may very well give it no credence whatsoever. But I must say, when I read this guy's stuff, I was like, damn, that guy really sounds like he knows what he's talking about. I'm kind of going, I mean, this thing with the legality of it, I think is just fascinating. Because he's saying, follow the poem. He's saying if you follow the poem correctly and don't mess with it, there'll be no legal problems. The problem I have with that logically is I don't understand how you get to the treasure without following the poem correctly. But he is insinuating that there are ways you can follow the poem and then have a legal or tax problem? I don't know. Is he saying, I mean, whoever this Crow guy is, he's pretty damn smart. Another thing I'd like to just say. He really, to me, has opened up a can of worms here. Is only, I would think, maybe a Forrest Fenn could. But because this guy almost seems to have insider knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Follow the poem. Don't mess with the poem. And you won't break any laws, is what he seems to be saying. You won't get in any trouble. Well, offhand, that I could understand him saying that maybe if you follow the poem correctly, you won't have trespassing problems. I mean, I suppose you could get to the treasure and trespass by not going up the creek when it was a physical place. You went some other way to get, I don't know. Again, it kind of throws me because I don't understand how you get to the treasure if you don't follow the poem correctly. But he is saying that if you find yourself in violations of person, place, or property, it is most likely incorrect. I'll say this about that. That, for me, is a fantastic way to look at this in the future for boots on the ground. I have never found myself in a position where I was going to trespass. I have said in the past, I never will trespass. So it's comforting to realize that if you get into a position where you're going to have to trespass, no matter how much you think the poem is telling you to go across that farmer's field or whatever. I got that thing from the Colorado Department of Natural Resources, a letter about Vermilion Creek, saying if you go up to the north end of that canyon, be well aware there's state trust land up there. Don't be on that state trust land. Then someone else said, well, the state trust land's only open so many months of the year and all this stuff, like during the winter. And, of course, I wouldn't be there during the winter. I think it was during the winter, they said. And otherwise, it's private. It's just like private trespassing. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I won't. I told the ranger, I wrote him back, said, absolutely, I'm not trespassing. So this guy, whoever Crow is, this great, you know, understander of the poem and the hunt, but it's a great piece of advice, though. If you find yourself having to break the law for any reason, you're not following the poem correctly. That's why now on the Facebook pages, there's this big brouhaha about, you know, do you turn into the park superintendent? Parks, national parks require that we turn into the park superintendent if we find it. Supposedly, national forest and monuments do not. I know when I was out at Echo Park and in Dinosaur Monument, I looked at the park regulations. There was nothing about finding and taking a treasure chest. There were rules about anything buried couldn't be buried, which is why Forrest Fenn is constantly being hit. If you look past the in the archives, he's always being hit up with the, did you bury it? Did you bury it? Did you bury it? God, that should be my next word for the day, bury. Oh my God, that would be like a 5-hour video. Someone said effort. If that person's watching, I did look up effort. It was a good word, like the line in the poem about effort. But really, outside of that line in the poem, the effort will be worth the cold. Is that the line? Outside of that line, not many references to effort, so it's not really a good topic. It's got a, you know, special brought up a lot of stuff. So anyway, that's all I'm trying to say. Wow.